Okay, so welcome to Astrology for Emotional Mastery. I am Candy, your host, and I'm going to talk with you about how your emotions play out in your life, but also show you how they play out in your chart. So, this is just a basic workshop. Um, what I'm hoping is that you'll get a general view of astrology and how useful it is in regards to um, your life and how you can kind of see how you actually process your emotions. So when it comes to emotions, the moon is the most important part of what you're able to use as a measuring stick as to how you process your emotions. So there's a side of the moon which we never see, but that's hidden. But that hidden half is as potent as a factor in causing the ebb and flow of the earth's tide as the part of the moon which is visible. So there's a part of the moon that you don't get to see, but it doesn't mean that it's not as powerful. Similarly, there's an invisible part of you that exerts a powerful influence in life as the tides are measured by the motion of the sun and the moon. So, to make that clear, the moon controls the tides in the water, and it also controls the ebb and flow of things in life, right? So what happens is as those things also influence the water and the tides, so it also influences the nature of human existence, which is measured by the circling stars that may therefore be called the clock of destiny and knowledge of their influence as an immense power, for they reveal every secret in life. Therefore, when you have given an astrologer the data of your birth, you've also given them the key to your innermost soul. And there's no secret that he may not be able to find out. So, this knowledge may be used for good or ill, to help or hurt, according to the nature of man. So, to the medical man, astrology is invaluable in diagnosing diseases and prescribing. If you are a parent, the chart will teach you how to nurture your child. If you are in a relationship, the charts will teach you how to relate. And if you are unclear about your career or life path, the chart will show you which talents are there and how life may be lived to a maximum of usefulness. So each planet is the embodiment of a great and exalted spiritual intelligence who is the minister of creation in a specified department of life. This energy is designed to carry out the will of the universe and having in view the ultimate highest good, regardless of how bad a situation seems. So these planetary spirits have a particular influence on the evolution of being on other planets, depending on the level of evolution that's needed to get to one's highest potential. The more potent the effects of the planetary influence are, the higher and wiser and more individualized the being is, the more they're able to shape their own course in life, right? This is why astrology is so helpful, because it helps you work with the planetary influences rather than against them. It gives you knowledge of your weaknesses and tendencies to self sabotage, and it shows you your strengths and the times most opportune for development of added power and good. So planets revolve around the sun at varying rates of speed, and the smaller planets, which are the closest to the sun, move much rapidly than the larger ones. Okay, so Mercury makes its orbital revolution in 88 days. Then we have Venus. Venus goes around the sun every 224 days, and Earth every 365 days. Note the year from year to year. Mars is every year and 322 days. Jupiter, as it gets bigger, is every 12 years. Saturn is every 29 years, and Uranus is every 84 years. Now, Neptune and Pluto become more generational, which means every 165 years, every 248 years. This is how long it takes these planets to orbit around the sun. So the goal of using astrology is to rise above the law of influence, not to be the victim of. So when a lot of people say, oh, I am not going to allow astrology to rule my life, that's actually not what you're doing. You're actually using astrology to rule your own life, just to kind of measure and see where you are. Are you living above your chart? Are you living in your chart? Or are you living below your chart? It's just measuring as to where you actually are in your life, in your power, so to speak. So the best way to work with the universe is to know and love yourself. Then and only then can you become the ruler of yourself and can will what you want, right? So let's get into it. So we have Aries and we have Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Pisces. The planets involved are Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Uranus, Neptune. And these aspects, which are very basic, are conjunction, opposition, square, sextile, and trine and parallel, and we'll go into what all of that is. But these are the basic tools that you use to kind of read what's what. And everybody that's on, I know I have Evan's chart and I have Taylor's chart. Faith, I don't know, you can put in the chat, were you able to get your chart up, and did you want to share your chart and go over your chart at all? Just let me know in the chat. um So here are the parts of the body that each sign rules. Aries rules the head, Taurus rules the cerebellum and the neck, Gemini rules the arms and the lungs, Cancer rules the stomach, and we have Leo rules the heart and the spinal cord. And we have Virgo rules the intestines, and Libra rules the kidneys, and Scorpio rules the sex organs and the rectum, and Sagittarius rules the hips and the thighs, and Capricorn rules the the knees, and Aquarius rules the ankles, and Pisces rules the feet. Okay, Faith, that's fine. I'll go through my account and you just share your information with me, and I'll pull up what I see as well, and then we can go from there, see if we come up with the same thing. Um, so these are the body parts. This is how you can actually get into medical astrology, which a lot of people don't know that much about, but it's very, very helpful sometimes to see what people are more prone to. So we have weather, and we talk about how conditions have a distant effect on our temperament. We feel differently in the summer than we do in the winter. This change is also reflected in the fixed stars and their effect on humanity, which is called evolution. As rays of the sun, by change of the angle of incidence, call forth leaves and flowers from the planet at one time, and at another cause them to wither. So sometimes during the year they flourish, and sometimes during the year they wither. So does the rays from the fixed stars call forth and produce greater changes in plants and animals. So basically, as above, so below. As the weather affects our temperament, so does the position of the planets affect our temperaments. Okay. So we have the first house, which shaped the condition of the body, early environment, and the childhood's home. So the first house is usually how people see you. It's more of a conditioning of who you think you are. The second house rules resources, finances, possessions. And we're going to go through this over and over and over throughout the workshop. And since this is a workshop, you may see me kind of running through what these things mean, but when we get to your charts, which is the work where it's going to be, it's all going to come together. So this is going to be on replay, so you don't necessarily have to take notes, but if you, as we go through your chart, you may want to jot down certain things about your own individual chart. The best way to learn astrology is to know your chart inside and out. Once you know your chart inside and out, you know astrology, period. Like everything comes together. We have the third house, which rules literature or arts or practical intelligence, short journeys, siblings. Fourth house is the home and conditions in old age. So it has a lot to do with how you were brought up, has a lot to do with how you end up in old age. You can look at the fourth house. Also, remember in the beginning, I said that the moon helps you, that's how you process your emotions. That's how you're able to tell how people process their emotions, is through the moon. Well, the moon is, the fourth house is the home of the moon. Then we have the fifth house. It rules amusement, courtship or romance, children, and speculation, when the best time is to do certain things. And the sixth house rules health. It also rules work and systems and labor. And the seventh house rules partnership and marriage. And it rules the things that we love as well. As you see here, the fine arts and public in the public. The 10th house, if you go skip down there, it also rules the public, but in a different way. And you're going to see how these houses kind of, some of them can mean the same thing in different ways, which is very important. Those are little nuances that make it very specific. So back up to the 8th house, which rules inheritance and death. And then we have the 9th house, which rules religion and philanthropy and idealism and justice and long journeys. And then we have this 10th house, which we just went through, rules profession and social position and ambition. And then we have this 11th house, which rules friendships, hopes, dreams, wishes, and the 12th house, which rules things that are unseen. It's really the most spiritual house, but it also rules prisons and hospitals, sorrows and troubles, right? Those are some of the classic meanings here. And I'll start my video just in case everybody wants to kind of see me. So why is your birth information important? Okay. So we like to know your birth information because it actually sets you apart from everything and everyone, right? So if we know what time you were born and where you were born and all of that, we're able to basically see that. But that's not all that's included. We also are going to be asking you what your birth place is as far as in the family. Are you the baby of the family? Are you the middle child of the family? Where are you in birth order, right? So a chart horoscope cast for 1909 cannot be duplicated for another 25,000 years, right? This is how individualized it can be, right? So the birth information is very important, but I'll show you how, even if you don't know your birth information, you can get away with not necessarily having it, okay? So the day determines particularly the position of the moon, which changes from one side to another every 2.5 days. This is why it's very good to know the day that you're born, okay? And the hour is also needful to fix its position as it moves about 12 degrees each day. So also, to bring to note is that your rising sign is very important, and that shifts about every 15 minutes. So if we can bring the data within 10 minutes of the actual time, we'll basically have what we need. So if you don't have it like exactly, since the rising sign changes every 15 minutes, if we can get it within 10 minutes, that means at least we've captured the rising sign. A lot of times people don't have birth um, charts. And so sometimes you have to just guess by talking to the client what it is that where their influences are, and you can just about get it right if you really reveal yourself. Okay, so have you all ever heard of yin and yang? Well, each house represents yin and yang. And so yang is out and yin is ins, outward, inward. So Aries is a very outward sign. Taurus is a very inward sign. So each house goes around and it goes yin, yang, yin, yang, yin, yang. Okay, so you'll see that as we go through the charts here. And again, we're going through the yin and the yang and what each one of them means. So now we're going to the first house, which is Aries, right? And then we have the second house, which is Taurus. And then we have the third house, which is Gemini. And if you want to go back and you want to look at the meanings, Aries is the initiating planet. Okay, this is the initiating sign. This is the sign that gets things going. This is the pioneer. This is the leader. This is the sign that is ruled by fire. Okay, but it's a cardinal fire, and you'll see that again as well, and you can write that down. Cardinal just means pure. Then we have Taurus, which is all about possessions. Remember in the beginning, I said finances. Well, finances, resources, possessions, your house, your car, your living room, your favorite chair, your favorite pair of slippers. It could go anything that you own, anything that you feel that you possess, right? This is a very stubborn, determined sign, right? And it wants to be secure. Okay, so that's how you can kind of look at Taurus. Gemini is all about connections. Um, it's all about communication, writing, talking, speaking, basically researching. It's about subjective ideas. So if it's something that I'm speaking of what I think, um, what it is that I actually would like for me on a subjective level, how I kind of see myself, that's a Gemini energy. It's very subjective. Then we have Cancer, which is all about the home. It's all about security. Again, remember, since we're talking about emotions, it is the home of the moon, right? It rules the moon in that area. And family, mother, provider, your feelings. There we go. And it's about being sensitive. It's about caring, right? And it's a yin. It's going back inward. Okay. Then we have Leo, which is yang, going outward, warm-hearted, outgoing, proud. Uh, it rules children. So if you look at Taurus, Taurus rules fertility. Because Taurus is a resource. If you can think back on that particular frame, it rules fertility, but you see Leo rules children. That's like after the children come, it's what you have brought forth, what you have expressed outward. So if you think of Taurus being yin inside, being able to have the child, possess the child, grow the child, bring the child in from inside outward. There's Leo, having that pride in your children. I know some of you have probably heard about the pride of Leo. Well, now we're talking about, oh, I'm so proud of my children. Look at my children. And that's a very Leo tendency there. We have Virgo, which is all about conserving. Okay. Um, so Virgo is a real careful, conservative, precise, thoughtful, concerned, compassionate, serving sign. Um, this is the last of the signs. As you see here, everything here is about the inner self, basically. You know, how you feel about your personality, your resources, your thoughts, your feelings, your creativity, and your ability to be able to be thoughtful and serving of others. Well, this is like all of the inner self things. As we get here, over here to Libra, we start moving outward, partnership, right? Partners, as you see there, we're going outward, being responsive to others, responsible, marriage, social, public face, fair-minded, okay? And then we have Scorpio, which is really getting to the nitty-gritty of things. Scorpio is all about being critical, but it's also about being passionate. Now, Virgo is critical as well, but Virgo is more critical from a perfectionist standpoint. Scorpio is more critical from a controlling standpoint. Passionate, personal, sexual energy, intense, business, finance. Okay, so remember we talked about Taurus, and you'll see some correlations between the houses that are apart from each other. Taurus was about the resources of the self, wanting to make sure that the self is okay, safe, secure. Scorpio is about other people's resources, right? Exchange of resources. So when we're talking about sexual, it's about having sex with the other, whereas Taurus is more about masturbation. If anybody understands the difference between the two, Taurus is about self-pleasing. Scorpio is about how am I going to get pleasure from the other and exchange these resources. Sex and money are connected when it comes to producing. A lot of people don't realize it, but it kind of comes from the same place. If you're repressed sexually, sometimes that can actually spill over into money. We'll talk about all of the connections as we get into it a little bit down the line as we start looking at everybody's charts and stuff like that. So these are very important houses as you get over in here, because this is how you deal with others, okay? We have Sagittarius, which is all about bringing the truth. It's all about being direct, candid, fair, equal-minded, right? And so when you think of Gemini, going back to the opposite house, Gemini is about subjective thinking. Sagittarius is about objective thinking. Gemini is like, what do I think, or what I think is important. Sagittarius is more universal, like about thoughts that we have about God, right? So Gemini might say, who am I, you know, in this big world? Sagittarius is going to be thinking, how does this big world affect who I am, right? So Gemini is thinking from the inside out, and Sagittarius is thinking from this big world, the universe thought in, you know. So you'll see that happening with opposite sides of every sign, and I'll cover that as we go through them. Okay, again, we have here Capricorn. We have here about how we feel in Cancer. Capricorn is the opposite. It's about how I affect the world around me. Capricorns are all about how they look, their public persona, their career, and they are, you know, the GOAT. They climb the ladder of success, right? So they're practical, cool, and They oversee everything. They're the executive, you know, they're clear. They are all about management, logical, hardworking, detailed. Whereas Cancer is like at home, wanting to tend to what's going on around their environment. Capricorn is all about, I want to be a powerful influence in the world. Okay. Then we have here Aquarius. Now we're going back here with Leo being the opposite sign, which we just went over. And Leo is about being warm hearted. Remember, it's about children and entertainment and having fun and being creative. Well, we have Aquarius here, which is the planner, future minded person. Leo is all about the here and now. Aquarius is all about what's happening in the future. A lot of Aquarians are very futuristic. They have a genius mind. They're thinking up these ideas and how they want things to be in the future. Um, they're independent. They're all about community. They're all about cooperating and networking and coming together to make things happen. But Aquarians can be detached. Um, Aquarians are more about the bigger world. Again, that outer world, almost like the Capricorn. The Capricorn is, how can I influence the world? How can I be powerful in this world? And Aquarians are like, how can we collectively come together and influence the world? If you want somebody to work with you on a greater good project, Aquarians are the best. My moon is in Aquarius. And so if somebody's always talking about coming together to create something for the masses, I'm always down for it, right? But I don't necessarily like everybody in my space on a personal level, right? After I'm done doing things out there for the world and the community and coming together, I like to kind of come home and kind of get in my shell. And a lot of Aquarians are that way, right? So here we go around here to Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac, which is patient, self-sacrificing, forgiving, embracing, understanding, very psychological, right? So we're going to go around this clock throughout the course, throughout the workshop, so that when we get to your individual charts, you're going to be very familiar and you're going to see where everything plays out in your chart. Again, we have this first house, which again is ruled by Aries. But the reason why we go through the signs and then we go through the houses is because everybody's first house is not Aries. My first house is Cancer. Okay. So that's your rising sign area, right? My rising sign is Cancer. Okay. And that makes a huge difference in how people see you. So write this down. When you're talking about emotions, you're definitely going to want to look at your first house and see what's there, which we will go back and look at everybody's first house as we get to your charts. Now we're talking about the second house. Okay. So in everybody's second house is in Taurus. Something else could be in Taurus, right? And this is where the story begins to get very, very different. Okay. Um, then we have the third house again, which we talk about is about communication. Okay. What's in your third house? Pluto is in my third house, right? Who else has Pluto in their third house? Martin Luther King has Pluto in his third house. Remember, Pluto takes 200 and something years to go around the sun. So it's a generational kind of thing. So where everybody's Pluto is in their house is very important. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Again, we have the fourth house. What's in your fourth house? If you have your charts, look at your charts and see what's in your fourth house. Because let's say I have Jupiter in my fourth house. All right. Fourth house is the moon. Fourth house is Cancer. But if you have Jupiter there, wow, how does that influence that? And then you're going to be looking at where that moon is. That's normally supposed to be here in the fourth house. That makes it even more interesting. And then you just start having this spider web kind of come together, which is you, home base, roots, protection, experience. It's the vehicle, modus operandi, so to speak. The chariot, security, right? Okay, so then we have the fifth house, which again is the home of Leo. But what's in your fifth house? I have Scorpio in my fifth house, right? So that makes it even more intense, more interesting to see what's going on there. It's about expressing and it's about your pride, your ego. It's also about teaching. And then once you see what's actually in your fifth house, you get to see how you create things, right? Your sixth house, home of Virgo. What's in your sixth house? Very important to understand that because that's going to be how you're going to process your health, your nutrition, how you preserve yourself, right? How you care for yourself, how you being proactive, how you do at work, right? That's going to be important. Your seventh house, partnership. When people come to talk about love, the first thing they want to do is they want to see what's going on with their seventh house if they know anything about astrology. And that's what astrologers are going to look at. Capricorn is in my seventh house. Well, you saw Capricorn is all about that 10th house. It's about your influence. I don't really want to be partners with somebody unless we're going to be able to have an influence. Like, how can we influence the world around us? How can we be something more than just something to each other? Like, how can we elevate each other in society? That's really important to me, right? How can we make each other better? So a lot of times people with Capricorn in seventh house get married very late in life. I got married very early in life, but who's to say that I won't get married late in life? My reason for getting married early in life was very religious influenced, right? Influenced by religion. That's why it's important to know what people's religious experience is, because there's a lot of things that can influence. Like a lot of times if you say people with Capricorn in seventh house get married very late in life, well, that's not true for me. I got married very early in life. But why did I get married very early in life? Well, we were brought up in a very religious family that said you don't need to be single until you're 30 because you're going to be, having sex by the time you turn 30. You're not going to be worth anything. Basically, is what they're telling you. You're going to be ran all through, or whatever your religious environment teaches you. That's conditioning, right? So what is your conditioning? We have your chart, and then we have your conditioning, and then we can see how all of that works together. So now we have the eighth house here again, which is the house of basically bare bones, raw, basically just getting down to business, the nitty gritty, as you can see, right? I have the moon there. Again, if I have the moon there, that's very intense energy to have your emotionals placed there. We're going to talk about that. This is where the revelations start coming in, where it gets really juicy. So if you really bear with me through all of this, when you get to your chart, you're going to be like, whoa, right? That's the fun part. So then we have here where we have ninth house, which is Sagittarius. Again, the home of Sagittarius. Long journeys. It's like overseas. So if you're looking at people with the ninth house influences, you're going to be thinking about what do you enjoy? Some people with ninth house influences love travel. We have religion, truth, spirituality, purification. Okay, so then we go in here to the 10th house, which we just talked about, which is the home of Capricorn. Organization, oversight, practical talents, big picture vision, clairvoyance, your vocation. Okay. And then we have here the 11th house, which home of Um, okay, Faith, you said you think yours is Neptune third house, Pluto first house. You'll wait because you're confused. I got you. Yeah, it can be confusing on that site because sometimes you don't really know what to put, but we're going to get that straight. We have the 11th house, which, if you guys remember, is the house of Aquarius. Um, what is there? What's in that place for you? Again, we're talking about group work, co-workers, the future, community, friends, sharing. And then again, the 12th house, long suffering, patience, paying dues, prisons, hospitals are in the 12th house too, self-sacrifice, putting up with stuff, understanding. Okay, then remember when we were talking about yin and yang? Now we're going to be talking about cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Remember when I said Aries is the cardinal sign? It's pure fire. Aries can consume itself. All cardinal signs can consume themselves, which we'll go through. So Aries is pure fire, it's the pure fire element. Aries is all about fighting, war, um, it's all about the physical experience. It's that first sign that as soon as it emerges into life, because all of these houses represent the cycle of life. So Aries is the baby of the zodiac. It represents that zero, like birth to three, like just that baby that's coming out, not really scared of anything, very reactionary, and can just jump in the middle of danger without realizing they were in danger. So that's Aries, which is pure fire. And then we have Taurus, which is a fixed energy, very stubborn earth energy. Okay. So we got fixed earth, we got cardinal fire. So Aries is cardinal fire, Taurus is fixed earth, Gemini is mutable air. What is mutable? Being able to mutate, being able to go with the flow, being able to kind of be a chameleon, so to speak. So Gemini is mutable air. Then we have Cancer is pure water. Now we're in the water element. Pure water is pure what? Emotion, pure feeling. Okay. All cardinal energies can be consumed by their own energy. They can consume others, or if they go inward, they can consume themselves. So if you look at a cardinal fire, they can consume themselves by their anger. If you look at cardinal water, they can consume themselves by their feelings, right? By their emotions. If you look at here we have here is this is wrong. I don't even know why this was here, but this is fixed fire. Leo is fixed fire. And so when you think of fixed fire, Leo is more of a stubborn fire, whereas Aries is more of a headstrong fire, like run through the fire is Aries, and Leo is more of a stand firm in the fire. Okay. And then we have here where Virgo is a mutable earth. Okay. So you have mutable air for Gemini, and you have mutable earth for Virgo. Okay. Mutable earth is practical, but it's also changeable. Mutable just means changeable. So you'll find where Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by the same planet, but a different element. So Virgo and Gemini are both ruled by Mercury, but Gemini is mutable air and Virgo is mutable earth, which means Gemini is going to be more flightier than Virgo, But both of them have the ability to change. But Virgo is going to be more strategic in how they switch up, whereas Gemini is going to be more instinctual about how they switch up. So if you look at going from here all the way around here, you're going to see a difference in maturity. Okay, sorry about that. A difference in people personalities, or the influence gets a little more mature, a little more strategic in their thought, because evolutionary wise, they're more, have more experience, not really in life, but in theory. So then we have here Libra. Libra is all about the partnerships, remember? But it's a also it's cardinal air. It's pure air. Again, it's able to consume itself. So if you get in with a Libra person, they are obsessed sometimes with relationships. Very rarely will you find a Libra person being single. They have a hard time seeing who they are outside of partnerships. Um, so I married a Libra, and that's true. Like they can kind of, not quite like Pisces, where they enmesh themselves in relationships, but they kind of have to be in a relationship, even if it's to their own detriment. And we all have Libra in our chart. And so we have to see where that energy is in our chart, how it influences us. Okay. So sometimes when we say things like, oh, I can't stand Libras, or I can't stand Cancers, or I can't stand, we are all the signs. It's just a matter of where that sign falls in your chart. Okay, then we have, again, here, we're going back to a fixed water. So let's go back to Cancer is a cardinal water. And then we have Scorpio is fixed water. Now, what you'll find with the cardinal signs, okay, with the mutable signs, there's an appearance of going with the flow. With the cardinal signs, there's an appearance of being highly motivated, initiating, taking the lead. Cardinal signs are about leading out, initiating, starting something. So if you are a cardinal sign, you're going to have this influence to do something out of nowhere. Like it's going to be like you're the leader. So everybody else is kind of sitting back. A cardinal sign is going to say, hey, what are we doing? What's going on? Even if you're not a natural leader, if you're a cardinal sign, it's just going to be innate in you to say, all right, everybody, let's get started. What are we doing here? Let's get the show on the road, even if it's just about having fun. Okay, I thought we were here to have fun. Let's get the party started. That's cardinal. When you're talking about mutable people are going to pretty much be more laid back. They're going to wait to see how they can mutate into what's going on. And then once they find their footing, then they may take the lead as a secondary type of personality, right? I'm a mutable sign. So I don't just come in and say, hey, what's going on? Let's get the party started. I might come in and get in the corner, see where I may fit in, and I may find a group. And then I may take the lead in that particular group, but I'm not going to take over, so to speak. All the cardinal signs have the ability to basically take over and take the lead. All fixed signs have the ability to control. So where you will find Aries, Cancer, over here we have Capricorn, which we'll get to that. When you have these cardinal signs, they may have started taking the lead, but then you have these fixed signs, they may start bossing everybody around, right? they can be like the delegators, so to speak. So you'll find a lot of cardinal signs who feel like they get taken advantage of, overlooked, because they're like, hey, I started all of this. I came in, I was the first one that said, hey, we need to get this together and we need to do this and we need to do that. And I got everybody all organized. And here comes Scorpio and Leo and Taurus coming up in here trying to boss everybody around, right? You'll kind of feel that when it comes to these different influences. So now we're going over here to the mutable, another mutable fire, which is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about freedom. Sagittarius is about, live and let live, right? So when you're talking about Sagittarius being this mutable uh, fire, now we're going back to the mutable signs, right? So you got Gemini, you got Virgo, and you got Sagittarius. We're going to get to Pisces in a little bit. But if you're talking about the mutable signs, we're all pretty much like looking around like, hey, what's going on? Where do we fit in? And once a mutable sign being that it mutates, it can go around to everybody and pretty much get a little bit of information from everybody and get the temperature of what's going on. A mutable sign can appear to be cardinal. A mutable sign can appear to be fixed. A mutable sign can basically get in with anybody. A mutable sign is good about going around and pretty much getting information from everybody and seeing what's going on. Because a mutable sign can have a stand and they can be who they are, but they're not as attached to it, right? They're attached to it in a way, but nothing like a cardinal sign or a fixed sign. So sometimes mutable signs can be kind of hard to read because mutable signs just basically want to take in information instead of coming in again and saying, let's get the party started. A mutable sign is going to say, again, like, you know, who's at the party? What is everybody eating? What does everybody like? What kind of music is being played? They're going to take in all the information and then they're going to strategically be whatever they need to be. And it's not necessarily being two-faced, but it's just naturally what mutable signs do, right? Now we're going to go around here to the cardinal earth, which is Capricorn. Capricorn is a very powerful sign to me. We'll talk about that later. But Capricorn is definitely a mover and a shaker. If you think about Caps, you think about Muhammad Ali, you think about Martin Luther King. If they have these convictions, they have a way of influencing the whole entire world. Well, right over here, you have Cancer. Cancer has the same ability, but they do it differently. So you're talking about the difference between Capricorn, which would be Muhammad Ali. I'm not going to war. I'm changing my name. I'm no longer Cassius Clay. Everybody needs to understand, where they come from. He brought religion into sports. Who else is able to literally do that? Who else is able to start the movement like Martin Luther King and just say, I have a dream and have everybody else adopt that dream? Very powerful. But then right across from Capricorn, even though it's the opposite, it's the same, inside, outside, right? Inside, outside. You have Nelson Mandela. Come on, who's more influential than that? But you see how he kind of did it in a very nurturing way. Wants to help the people. He takes the fall for everybody. He goes to prison. He spends his whole life there and then comes out and is the president. How amazing is that? He was just so very softly but strongly held to his convictions, right? So you have these inner ways of being, and then you have these outer ways of being. They're opposite from each other, but in a way they're much the same. Then we have Aquarius, which is a fixed air. So you got your mutable air, and then you have your fixed air, and then you have your cardinal air. So you see how it all kind of comes together. Libra is the all-consuming air that's obsessed with partnership. And then you have Aquarius, which is the fixed air, which is all about the convictions of the greater good for other people. And then you have Gemini, which is the mutable air, which is ruled by the planet Mercury, which is about getting the message out. How are we going to communicate all of this to everybody? We got to tell people. That's what Gemini is all about. So if you look at even the roles that all of the same elements play in different ways, it's very intricate and interesting there as well. So then we have the last, but certainly not least, we have Pisces, which is mutable water. Okay. As you go around, we go from just being born, coming into this physical life, to going around living the life, and fading into this spiritual transcendent self, which is Pisces. Pisces is probably the most mystical of the signs because it's not just mutable, it's mutable water, which means it can kind of really go anywhere it wants to, but it can actually very much shock you. It's ruled by the planet Neptune, which is goddess of the water. So it can be very, very volatile when it wants to, but it can also be very still at the same time. So that is the definition of the fixed and the mutable and the cardinal energies. Now here we are with your earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, fire. You see how it all goes around and how it's all coming together, right? First house, fire, second house, air, third earth, third house, air, fourth house, water, and then it starts all over again, right? So everybody that's water, these are your water people here. Cancer, and we have Scorpio, and we have Pisces. But you have cardinal, fixed, mutable. So you're all here as related elements. So you're related elements, but you have here where the way that you act out is very different. Okay. And then we have all your fire. We have Aries and Leo, and we have Sagittarius. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Cardinal is going to jump in first, and Leo is going to be very fixed in their position, and Sagittarius is going to be like, I'm going to be whatever I need to be in order to deal with the situation. Okay, so that's how that goes. Same here with water. Cancer is going to jump out first, and then Scorpio is going to be like, well, this is how I am, I'm not changing. And then Pisces is going to be like, I'm going to be whatever I need to be to deal with the situation. That's that mutable, right? Then you have Earth, Taurus, Earth, Virgo, and then we have Earth, Capricorn. So you got your fixed Earth, you got your mutable Earth, and you have your cardinal Earth. Capricorn is going to jump out first. Capricorn is going to be that cardinal force that's going to say, you know, this is what needs to happen on the job. We need to go ahead and get all of these policies together. We need to get some order. We need to do blah, blah, blah. They're going to kind of lead out when it comes to very, very practical things. And then you're going to have Taurus that's going to be like, okay, I don't really want a whole lot of changes going on because I need to be comfortable, right? So they're going to be kind of fixed. They're going to be that last one to kind of jump in there and say that they want to change something. But once you get them going, they're going to latch on and you're not going to be able to move them. But then you have this Virgo that's going to be like, okay, I have a system, I have a way of doing things, but at the same time, I'm concerned about how it affects others. So I'll switch it up if I need to, because I'm mutable earth. Okay. And then we have here where everybody's playing their role differently. Now, remember, you are all these people, you're all these archetypes. And so we're going to see how all of that fits together in your chart. Okay, so for those who look at things in a list form, Aries is ruled by Mars, Taurus is ruled by Venus, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, Cancer is ruled by the moon, Leo is ruled by the sun, and then we have Virgo is ruled by Mercury. See how they start repeating some of them? You got Gemini ruled by Mercury, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. We got Libra's ruled by Venus, Taurus is ruled by Venus, but Taurus is fixed earth and Libra is cardinal air. So even though they're both ruled by Venus, you got your inner and you have your outer. How do I affect others? Partnership. Taurus is all about things of beauty. So if you're going to think about Venus and Taurus, you're going to think about Taurus is going to be like, how comfortable is my home? Libra is going to be like, how beautiful is my home? Like they're going to be more about the aesthetics of it. Taurus is earth, is going to be more about how are my senses feeling about when I come home, right? And Libra's going to be like, how does my home influence others? When people come into my home, what do they see? So Libra's going to see things, how they look to others. Taurus is going to be like, how does it look to me? Subjective, objective. So that's how you can tell, even though it's ruled by the same planet, what it's all about. Gemini is yang, outward. Virgo is yin, inward. Virgo is going to be more about how it affects them systematically. Remember, Virgo rules the intestines. How much inner can you be? So sometimes you'll find Virgo will have stomach issues if their environment isn't right. Their intestinal system will be affected if their environment isn't right. Virgo has a way of feeling things on an inner level, whereas Gemini is going to feel something on the outer level. Gemini needs to be heard and understood, and Virgo basically just needs to be accepted. You ain't got to hear me or understand me, but you're going to have to accept me for who I am. So it's like you'll see the inner and the outer of Mercury, okay? Then we move on. We have Scorpio ruled by Pluto. And then we have Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. We have Capricorn, which is ruled by the planet Saturn. And we have Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. And we have Pisces, which is ruled by Neptune. Remember what I said about that. When it comes to the planets, Mars is the initiator. Venus is all about the things that we love. Mercury is all about communication. The moon is about emotion. The sun is about the personality. And then Pluto, really for evolutionary astrologists, which is what I am, it's all about the soul, something on a very deep level. Jupiter is about expanding. Saturn is about discipline. And Uranus is about freedom. Genius ideas, things like that. Neptune is about being able to transcend everything in this earthly realm. Okay. You see, it says modern rulership. We have modern rulerships and we have classical rulerships. And an example is Saturn, before Uranus was actually discovered, used to be the ruler of Aquarius. So you'll find Capricorn and Aquarians will have similar influences when it comes to some of their personalities. So basically now we're getting into, everybody kind of get your charts ready if you can. If you can't, I'm gonna screen share going into the site and how you can get your chart up. And those who want to share, hopefully I can give you the ability to share. We can go over your chart. So the house equals the overall energy. The sign equals the mode of operation, and the aspects equal the activating forces. Aspects is how they all coincide and cross each other, right? So here again is an actual chart. Those of you who were able to pull up your chart will see something that looks kind of like this. And if you understand, this has something to do with the body, this has something to do with resources, this has something to do with communication, this has something to do with your emotion, this is about creativity, this is about systems and the body, this is about partnership, this is about you and other people's resources, this is about travel, this is about your outer influences and career, this is all about networking and friendships, this is about spirituality, right? These are the 12 avenues of life, basically. And you are in the middle. You're in the middle. So here we go. This is the inner you, this is the outer you. Okay? And here we are here. Those of you who want to write down how you feel in each house, you can do that while we're on here, and we can share it as we start applying these things to your charts. Okay. So resources. Some people feel very scarce in their resources naturally. Some people feel very abundant in their resources naturally, even if they don't have money. So let's think about astrology. Okay, so who all wears glasses? I wear glasses. I've been wearing glasses since the second grade. My sight isn't really that bad, but I have astigmatisms in both eyes. So I kind of need the glasses to kind of keep my eyes straight so I don't see things really funny. If you think of your birth chart as a lens that you see life through, it's a clock, right? And it goes around and around. It's rotating all the time. It's almost, if you think about musical chairs and the music is playing, 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 playing. And when the music stops, hey, that's the chair you get to sit in. Astrology is like that. While everything and the planets are turning, wherever you're born, that's the lens that's locked in for you. That's how you kind of see things. And when I say locked in, I don't mean like controlled. You are in charge. You are actually orchestrating all this. If you think about it, the power's here and you're delegating. You're delegating your life, right? You're delegating everything. So if you think about, I have to if you think about Jeremiah 1:5, I like to say the actual text. Like, I can quote scripture, but I always have a hard time saying where it's found. I remember when I was in church school and we used to have Bible Bowl, and we had to like do these Bible verse things, and I would quote the scripture. They'd be like, well, where is it found? I'd be like, I can't remember. So in Jeremiah 1:5, when it says, I knew you before you were in the womb, okay, this kind of represents to having life outside of life. We always think this is the only life we have. But if you think, when you start looking at astrology, you start really seeing how we really choose when we're going to be born, what we're going to do. Like, the doctor gave me a due date for my youngest daughter. She came 2 weeks early. I had a due date for my son. He came 3 days late, right? We decide when we're coming, whether we want to believe that or not. And so when you decide when you're going to get here, while this is going around and around and around, whenever you arrive, boom, it stops. There are these influences, and it takes a picture of how the lens that you're seeing the world through. So it can determine how you naturally feel. You can be broke as all get out financially. You can have like $2 in the bank. But if you have natural, abundant energy in a resource house, you're going to feel rich. Like you're going to say, I don't know why, but I feel so rich inside, right? I feel like I was meant to be wealthy. Well, a lot of astrologers that literally know, well, we all know how to read past lives, but sometimes we don't do it because a lot of people can't comprehend it. They can look at your chart and say, well, in a past life, you were a wealthy, blah, blah, blah. All they're looking at basically is your natural influences. Or when I look at past life stuff, I look at what you felt like naturally as a child. That's why in my course, Shifting from Force to Power, I have my students who were in Shifting from Force to Power. I just want y'all to know, y'all are going to be grandfathered into the bigger course. Y'all don't even have to like pay to come in. Y'all just going to automatically be in there. And a lot of stuff is just going to be in there that y'all didn't have the first time. And y'all going to enjoy it. So I just want to just put that out there. So we have here where if you were a child, if you can really think back, you had natural feelings of wealth and love and this and that and the other. That's a past life. But what happened is you step into the life, you start accumulating experiences, and it starts tainting some of these or influence or conditioning some of these areas, right? So if you don't have money in the bank, but you felt abundant as a child, it's probably got something to do with some conditioning that happened or an experience that happened that closed that abundant portal off. And it's like, you know, it's there, but there's a veil over it. And so a job of an astrologer is to say, hey, you got all the tools that you need. And I see it all the time where the very thing that you're the most powerful in is the thing that you have the blockages in. And it's because of conditioning, right? So your thoughts, sometimes people can say, oh, I'm so confused. I have no idea who I am or what my thoughts are apart from other people's thoughts, right? I don't really even know my own thoughts. I feel confused, right? Some people would may have certain influences in their chart that cause them to doubt themselves mentally. Okay, so we'll look at those things. So while I'm talking, without knowing what your aspects are, go through and write your feelings in each of the 12 houses, how you feel naturally or not. Okay, so this is my chart. Okay. I'm getting ready to see if I can share. Mm, Evan, that's your chart. Okay. Faith, I need you to come on and give me your birth information. I'm going to add you to my list. I may even have you on here. Let me see.
Okay.
Um,
So, um,
let me let me add you here. What's your birthday?
July 12th, 1978.
Did you go through this process here?
Uh-huh.
What's your
So
hour?
the thing about my hour is because it's kind of confusing. I'm only going off of what I was told because I was born in the back seat of the car.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Right. And I never really got the real timing um of my birth or exactly where they were. My brother seems to think that it was about 5:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, so this is good. This is a great example. We're gonna do it, and we're gonna see. Uh, what was your birth town?
I'm gonna say Keysville, Virginia. Keysville. I don't know if that's where the car was at, but that's where I was.
Okay, All right, so let's look at this and see. There's my mother's chart right there. Okay, so I use the whole signs, which is like the whole house system,
Mhm.
and it makes it easier. Actually, the whole signs, the whole house system, if you all go through this process and you ever want to do your chart, it's much easier to read because first of all, it's the classical system and it's the first system that was ever used. I usually like to go to the first of everything simply because sometimes people get really, really fancy and make things complicated. So if I look at your chart from here, the whole sign system, everything has a place. It's not in between anything. It looks just like what we went over. It looks just like it. Everything is in its spot. But if you go back to the chart and then you go here to the um sorry, go back to the default style. I'm sorry, where was I? Oh, and you go to what most people use, which is the Placidius system. You'll see you'll be in between houses, and you'll this is where you have cusp houses. You see how that's split there? It
Yeah.
just, to me, I can read it, but why make it more difficult when you can still get some of the same information? So I'm going to go back because it's easier. And I'm going to go back to my whole house system, which is whole signs here. And we're going to go back to your chart. Okay, so I'm going to read your chart to you and you tell me what resonates with you and what doesn't.
Okay.
And then we might not have the time that we need, but if somebody says that they don't really have the exact time, sometimes we can actually come up with something that fits more. Okay, so your first house is Sagittarius, which is all about your rising sign, which is what we'll go by, which is all about freedom. It's all about the philosophy of life. It's all about higher thinking. It's about an expanded view of the world. It's about basically having a positive outlook no matter what. It's like, regardless of what happens to Sagittarius, Sagittarius is going to find a way where they're going to be fine. This is fire. This is, again, mutable. No, okay, I can't get in that way. I'm gonna get in this way. You trying to block me like that? I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna do this. Does that type of
That's
resiliency
me.
stick with you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you can kind of feel safe with going with this chart simply because the rising sign is within 15 minutes of birth. So let's say it's 5:15 or 5:45, 5:30, it might it might hit just about right if that resonates with you. Okay, so people will see you like this, but your personality over here with your sun being in, oh wow. So we have three planets in your eighth house, which is your sun, your Mars, and your Mercury. Very, very intense in how you are, how you think, and how you fight, right? This is Mars, the planet of fight, the planet of passion, extremely passionate in and out of the bedroom, very, has this mind, a detective mind here with Mercury in the eighth house, very detective oriented. Things kind of like things that get past other people, you pick up on it. But because it's in Cancer, colored by Cancer, see, this is the house of Scorpio, which makes everything very intense. But then we have Cancer, which is very nurturing. So what'll happen is you'll see things in people that most people don't see And instead of using it as a red flag, you'll try to heal it like a cancer and nurture it. So you actually nurture the very things that could harm you with Cancer in eighth house. Because eighth house, if you remember, it's about being naked. It's about being having X-ray vision. It's about getting to the bare bones of things. It's about taboo things being made known. Like you can see things in people, and instead of saying, "Hey, I see you," you almost may cover them and nurture them and bring them in, and you will find yourself saying, why in the hell did I do that? How did I get stuck with this? Well, this kind of explains that. But if you look here, if you see where you have red lines here, this is tension. This is where your lessons are, basically. Now, you are at war pretty much with your emotions. Your emotions are over here. There's a little tension there. So you second guess yourself a lot. And so what'll happen is you have Jupiter here and you have the moon here. Okay, Jupiter, if you go out and see where it's connected to, follow the lines, follow the lines, follow the lines, you'll see that there is some tension between Mercury. Okay, so let's go here. Mercury is here, and you see where it splits off. Mercury here is some tension here and some tension here. Jupiter is about expanding. The moon is about feeling. Mercury is about thought. There are times where you will constrict your thinking, suppress your thinking and your feeling, the way that you think and the way that you feel. You'll have revelations and you'll suppress them because you're not very sure about them. You may have ideas and you'll suppress them because you're not very sure about them.
That
So,
is all the time. Like all the time. There's so much stuff that I have not done because I keep talking myself out of it.
okay, that's this here. Now remember, you have X-ray vision here. So you already know what you need to be doing. There's nothing that anybody can't tell you that you don't already know. So if you come to somebody, they have to be able to go beyond what you know and break you. And you're looking for a breakthrough. You're not looking for knowledge. You're looking for a breakthrough. You already know here with all three of these planets here, but you're kind of paralyzing yourself. Um, your sun, if we follow this line, follow this line, follow this line, follow this line, here is got some tension here with Jupiter as well. Shrinking your personality. You're shrinking your personality as to not to offend people. Okay, so with all of this here, you try to hide it. Okay. So, and look, it's Libra. What did we say Libra was? Partnership. Okay. Partnership is going to be your Achilles heel. Why? Because every time you're in partnership with somebody, you're always thinking of the other person and you're shrinking yourself to try and fit with the other person. So you're going to constantly attract people that are beneath you because you're going to be giving them too much power. You're going to be coddling them when your X-ray vision is actually supposed to be calling them out. This is not helping them. You're actually becoming codependent when you say, oh, I see that this person is this, or I see that this person is that. And instead of me, and I mean, I'm talking kind of fast because I'm really getting into it. You can stop me and interrupt me. I don't care. I see that this person is it. And you can say, no, that's not me or whatever, too. I see that this person is this. I see that this person is that, but I'm not really sure emotionally. Maybe I'm being too critical. Maybe I'm being too hard on them. You're projecting your own insecurities actually onto the person because you're thinking, well, if somebody did me like that, I would feel terrible. If somebody did me like that, I would feel left out, or I would feel, you're like putting your feelings onto them. So that's going to be something that you're going to have to look at, because what you're doing is you're not really being true to yourself, and it's kind of tricking people into thinking that you're really this nurturing person, but you're really a cut to the core kind of person. You're really a call it like it is kind of person. And you're probably not going to do that until you get angry and this tension right here gets so bad that it builds up, and you'll be like, well, you know what? I ain't never like you no way, or I ain't never da da da. I done did this for you and I did that for you and blah blah blah. You can just boom. And then you'll think it's the other person, but what it really was that you ignored the x-ray vision that you have here, and you literally got to a point where you were like, okay, I don't want to take care of you anymore. Cancer was like, I'm gonna take care of you and everything's gonna be fine. But Scorpio here is like, no, we're not trying to take care of them. We're trying to make it so that we can remember. Scorpio is about exchange of resources. You want to be able to exchange resources with people. You don't want to be codependent, because when you're codependent, you actually paralyze them. So Scorpio is trying to teach you. You're Cancer, you're in the Scorpio house. Your lesson is don't nurture everything that you see, right? Scorpio is like, we ain't nurturing them. And Cancer is like, yeah, but if I did that, I would feel like this or that. This is where I see the greatest tension here. Okay. So I don't want to rob anybody else of their time, but you can let me know if you got any comments on that.
I'll message you.
Hmm.
I probably have a lot of questions, so I'll message.
Okay.
I mean, everything sounds right. Like I am a big. I do. I do exactly everything you just said about nurturing him. Is I'm like I can hear myself saying to myself, "Don't do this." They, let people be. But the thing that comes out is the nurturing. I try to take care of everybody and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's not what this house is about. Okay. Also, what could be here is control. Remember, I said that Scorpio, Pluto, eighth house is about control, because it wants to make sure that it has what it needs. So that could be the underlying source there. So there may be something underneath there that you need to let go of, release control, start there, because it's being masked by nurturing Cancer, but underneath it is control. And that's going to always backfire on you. Now, you naturally have control being having the energies in the eighth house. So if you release control, control can definitely be used the way that the higher self needs to use it, not the way the insecure self wants to use it, if that makes sense. Okay, so does anybody else want to share their chart, or me pull up their chart? Sharon, did you want to pull up yours before I go into? Okay. All right, so let me go
I
back.
don't. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I said yes. I tried to chat it too because I couldn't get the mute off.
Oh, okay. Let me get your information really quick here. I'm gonna add you. It's easier to do this than to get everybody to share their. Okay, what's your birthday?
August 9, 1960.
60 even?
Yes.
Okay. And the hour
3:45 a.m.
and the place?
Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Coatesville.
There it is. These places amaze me when they pop up because I've never heard of them. Right. Okay. All right. Okay, so wow. Here we are. A lot of Cancerian influences here. Your rising sign is Cancer, which is very, very important. My rising sign is Cancer too, which is all about, we all know, feelings and nurturing and all that kind of stuff. This is how people see you. This is how other people see you. Okay. So if your sun was in Cancer, like Faith's, this is how you kind of see yourself. Like, this is my personality. This is who I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cancer, I mean, rising sign is how other people see you. So other people may come to you and say, hey, you seem like a nice place to come and get nurtured. I'm going to come and build my nest near you, or, you seem like a nice, whatever, to place to settle down. But your sun here is in Leo, which is um, a very yang um, thing, right? Yang energy. You like being creative. You like things on your own terms. Leo women like things on their own terms. And you might feel a little bit reluctant inside to give in to that, because Leo is all about making sure that they get what they want, basically. But there is always with women this guilt of feeling like they need to be this place that people want to come, right? So here we have the sun in Leo, we have Uranus in Leo, we have Venus in Leo. Here we have Mars, wow, and Venus, a little bit at odds there. Mars is in Gemini. Mars in Gemini is about being able to express yourself, being able to express yourself fully. And we have Pluto here that's also a little at odds or tension here. Okay. And the reason why I like to start with this is because we don't really have a whole lot of time. These are some very good influences here. Very good. Because, and this is the other side of the story is whenever you have challenges, everywhere you have challenges, you also have these huge benefits.
Okay.
Okay. So you have all of these, you have Jupiter, which is trine or relaxed aspect, beneficial aspect to all of these energies here. But at the same time, you have some tension here between the things that you love and how you actually communicate that. There could be some misunderstandings in regards to partnerships and how you communicate yourself. Um, Drawing in people or coming in contact with, see, you have your Mercury here, and Mercury in Cancer can always say what you should do, what you should do. But look at that. Look at Neptune. Neptune rules the 12th house, Pisces. You have Gemini here. Let me know if I confuse you.
Okay.
And you have Mercury here. I mean, Mars here.
Mhm.
When you have Mercury and there's some tension here with Neptune, and it's in Scorpio, the 5th house, there could be some deception, and it's around romance. Okay. So we have deception. Neptune is the planet of dreams. It's the planet of rose-colored glasses. It's the planet of water, the goddess of water. And when you have water somewhere, sometimes water can cause you not to see things clearly. Okay. You ever have water in your eyes, you open your eyes and everything is just a little bit blurry.
Mhm.
And you gotta like clear it out, and you're like, okay, now I can see. If you have water in your eyes, sometimes you can just see images until you get the water out of your eyes, and then you can see. So wherever Neptune is, you're kind of underwater. When you're underwater and you can't see clearly, you speculate. And when it's definitely connected to Mercury, the way that you think, you begin to imagine the way that you wish things were. So you're thinking, wow, in the area of romance, I have Neptune here too. In the area of romance, you really would love a very intense, sweep you off your feet relationship. Like that's what you imagine. And all relationships are going to always fall short of that. I mean, I have that too. Like, if I don't meet somebody and they don't just sweep me off my feet, I'm like, I don't even want to be bothered, right? Sometimes those relationships can be short-lived. Either they get tired of you, you get tired of them. They kind of come in fast, they leave fast, or they come in because they're drawn to your nurturing qualities and you are drawn to how you imagine them. And then when practicality, everyday life slips in, you're like, oh my God, how did I get into this? Right? Now, if you
Yes.
notice with Faith's, hers was, I have x-ray vision, but I'm gonna ignore that and I'm gonna just nurture. Yours is, I want this fairy tale. With Neptune in 5th house, it's all about fairy tales. It's like, God, why can't I have? And you may even look at somebody else's relationship and say, wow, they have the best relationship. I would like my relationship to look like that. But their relationship might not be at all like you're perceiving it to be. You're not really seeing it as clearly as you think you are. You're kind of deceiving yourself in the area of romance. This will save you so much trouble if you understand that there's a little issue here, which is just a lesson. Where you see the red are lessons, and where you see the blue are benefits. So you got to get this together. And look, it's in the area of where you attract people, the rising sign, where people are just drawn to you. So you're basically telling yourself this story, and mentally, telepathically, you're pulling them in here. And all of your action is here in Leo, which is very powerful. Leo women are very, very powerful. And you have Venus here, which means you love very hard. So you're pulling people in through this portal of illusion of romance. and you're loving them as hard as you possibly can, but something is missing. I don't like them like I thought I did, and I can't really get into them like I want to with all my fire. And you have a fixed way of loving and being. So it's hard for you to be mutable. Remember when we're talking about mutable personalities, being able to kind of blend in? If you blend in as a fixed sign, it could literally make you sick. You're like, this is not me. I'm going crazy here. And you'll find yourself trying to come up with alternative ways of loving because you'll think something is wrong with you and you'll say, okay, maybe I'm just being picky. Leo, Venus and Leo is picky, and that's fine. If you go into it and you can get rid of this barrier here, and if you look at it, it's crossing that. So it's almost like a literal barrier there that I can see that if we can get your mental picture to line up with reality, like, okay, so with this one, this is what I would do. Map out what you really, really want in a relationship. Because if you look at where this is crossing, it's crossing your personality, it's crossing your love, it's crossing everything. But here you have Uranus, which is the planet of change, right in between here. And boom, you see where it's making this whole way across here to the moon? There's your
Yes.
emotion. There's your emotion. Your moon is in Pisces. Let's, okay, so look at a chart like you're playing pool. You ever seen people play pool and they hit a ball and it ricochets and you're like, oh my God, how in the world did they make that do that?
Mm-hmm.
You got the ruler of Neptune, which is Pisces, which is what is kind of deceiving you mentally here. We're talking about emotions. Boom. You got your moon is also in Pisces. You're kind of in agreement, but this is throwing you off here. You're deceiving yourself at the same time. I didn't mean to do that, but I did. Okay, so what I would do, since your moon is here and moon is about emotion and how it makes you feel, because boom, if you look at where your moon is, it's a little restricted. I have moon here as well, where the aspect of the moon. Remember, I said Jupiter is about expanding and the moon is
Mm-hmm.
about emotion. Well, boom, if you see here, you have some tension here or a lesson here. It's about breaking through your emotions and expanding them rather than being locked in by them. You're going to have to learn how to utilize Jupiter, which God has already given you the strength of Jupiter here in your sun, in your with your Pluto and with this. You're gonna have to apply that power over here to your emotion so that you can expand and not lock yourself into this way of feeling that things should be in a relationship. Wow, did you see that? I mean, I'm
Yes.
can you understand, like, you see how that's happening?
Yes.
Okay, so this, imagine this is God. Jupiter represents
Mm-hmm.
God.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine this is how you feel with the moon. It's in Sagittarius, which Jupiter is great here in Sagittarius because that's the home of Jupiter. It's right there at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is all about freedom. Freedom. This is systems. This represents how you go about doing things, the sixth house. You're going to have to penetrate this tension here so that you can access the power you have to systematically do things the way that you need to do them in order to get what you want. There's some doubt here,
Gotcha.
there's some tension here between how you feel and the God in you. Okay, so what we'll need to do is we need to look here and say, wow, look at all that power you have. Transference of power that you have here into the moon, which is how you feel. Your moon is underwater here with Pisces. It can be very dreamy. You can actually literally have very vivid dreams. Um, but you can get carried away by your dreams, which can here cause your thinking to be muddled because this Neptune rules this Pisces, and your moon is very much affected by this energy here. So, how you think and how you feel are connected just like that. Okay, this is a barrier.
Yes.
We got to get clear on how you're thinking. Now, if y'all remember in shifting from force to power, we break down how you're thinking. Now, we were just talking about it, but if I was to actually fill in those blanks,
Mhm.
I would fill in my thinking is muddled in matters of love,
Mm.
but I'm clear. It's like you're clear in who you are, but when you step outside of who you are, you're not that clear. Like, you don't see others as clear as you see yourself. You're like, I know what I want. I know what I want in a relationship. I know exactly what I want. But when you get ready to reach outside of yourself to let it in, which is the portal here, it's distorted by this energy here. And you end up letting things in that go against how you feel. Okay, so you find yourself, this is your area here. This is where astrology can kind of come in and break through these hidden barriers. I can see it so clear. I got like really like chills on that. And we would write out your freedom formula very specifically. It'd be almost like a prescription for emotional mastery. And
Yes.
I would do it um, independent of love first to get you
Okay.
um, in alignment with yourself, right? First, because we got to get you just as confident being, okay, being who you are, just being that, which you have the ability to do that right here in the second house. Very wealthy, very rich. If I was to look at this, I would say that this person feels very rich, very wealthy. This person feels like they have a lot to offer, but they may have a hard time translating that out there. Okay.
Yes.
So we would work on that. Okay, so you can go ahead and now I'm going to be quiet if you want to say something on that, on all of that.
Oh no, no, I'm just listening because this is exactly true. This is so that was my struggle. That's my struggle and how always has been for so long.
Yeah, and now we see what it is. It's that Mercury and that Neptune. We would work on utilizing that, breaking through that. That's your breakthrough area there. So we see where Faith's breakthrough area needs to be. Your breakthrough area, I would think, would be here and here. Now, if we get these two together, because we're talking about emotional mastery, which is the moon and then Jupiter, make friends with them. And then we're talking about thought and dreams here. This, I think, would automatically free itself, which is how you communicate, you fight through the ability to be able to communicate yourself clearly, right? And there are some issues here with that, with the Venus. If we remove this blockage here, it'll remove or help you be able to communicate about the things that you love and that you want in your life on a deep soul level. Pluto represents the soul. You have a blockage here on how to fight for what you love and what you need on a deep soul level. But if we can break through here and here, it'll automatically release this. Okay. All right. So let's see. Who wants their chart up next? Evan, are you still there? Do you want yours up? Anybody else? Okay. So,
Yeah, I'm still here.
oh, okay. Do you want me to pull yours up?
Yeah, you can put mine up.
Okay. Actually, I ended up inviting my two on here because I'm using their charts. Usually, I didn't know whether you all were going to be able to be on with your charts or not, or get to them. And that's why I decided to just pull them up myself. I don't like using people's charts unless they're here and I have permission because it's kind of personal. But let's see. Okay, so this is my chart. I have Moon in Aquarius here. It's a little bit of tension here with Saturn. It causes issues here. So um, I even though I can feel very deeply, showing people these emotions, they have a kind of a hard time trying to like see that because it's filtered through Saturn, which is the planet of discipline and constriction, right? That's an issue sometimes. Um, I'll go back over that, but let me pull up Evans, which is my son. He also has Moon in Aquarius. Your children's chart, I've noticed, can sometimes have similar themes in it as yours. And sometimes it can have like just the opposite. And that depends, that is about whether you clash or get along. And I know like my ex-husband always tells my son, oh, you're just like your mother when it comes to relationships. Well, it might be the fact that his moon and Saturn are together where it can, and it's also in Aquarius, where, and if you look at his moon is all the way over here. He has Venus in Leo as well, just like Sharon had Venus in Leo. All right, Venus in Leo, again, what did we say? Venus in Leo is kind of picky. Leo is Leo the lion. Leo is the king sitting or the queen sitting on the throne. Leo is about, it's about having fun and being a little bit, life of the party sometimes, but it's also about things needing to be a certain fixed way. So people who have Leo, Venus in Leo, have a very fixed way of loving. And his Venus is also in the 8th house of a lot of passion. He needs to feel a lot of passion in his relationships in order for him to connect. But here, if you look at Venus, it's in opposition to the moon. This is a challenge only because when you have tension, okay, this is tension. This is complete opposition. So this means here that how you feel and what you really love could be at odds. Opposition just means at odds. Like if you're thinking about parting the Red Sea and getting from one side of the Red Sea all the way to the other, this is parting the Red Sea. And if you see, it's a red line. So he's going to always kind of feel like he has to part the Red Sea in order to get the relationship that he wants. Why do I have to go through all of this just to get the relationship that I want? So remember what we talked about with signs being the opposite. It's the same, but it's the inner and the outer, the yin and the yang, the inner and the outer. So we have Leo being the outer, and then Aquarius being the inner with the moon here. Venus being partnership, moon being feeling. The second house being his resources, what makes him comfortable, what makes him feel nurtured. Now we have to also understand here that the moon represents the mother. So he's my son. His influence is going to be heavily on how I nurtured him. And he's going to look at that subconsciously, because the moon is a subconscious thing when it comes to choosing relationships. His mother has moon in Aquarius. He has moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is connects, but not in a very smothering kind of way. So Evan, you can come on a little bit and you can tell me, because it's hard for me to speak for you. Would you say that I was nurturing, independent, smothering? What kind of mother was I? You can be very transparent. It's okay.
Yeah, I felt like you was very nurturing and independent, but at the same time, I feel like you know how relaxed and calm I am, because sometimes I feel like uh no matter how nurturing you was, I feel like you wouldn't be able to really smother me because I was just so real, relaxed and calm.
Yeah, yeah. We kind of like agreed with each other because my moon is in Aquarius, his moon is in Aquarius. He likes his space, I like my space. I noticed that whenever the Cancer Venus in me would come out, and I remember when I wanted to go walk you to your class when you were little, and well, not little, you were maybe 10. I was used to walking you to in, and you was like, no, don't, no, it was a kiss. I wanted a kiss, and you was like, I don't want no kiss. Don't kiss me. That's kind of like mother son though. um and I didn't say it, but I was like really crushed about that, and I had to learn how to respect your distance as a male, as well as you being having this moon uh in Aquarius here. But I had moon um in relation to my Saturn as well. So I noticed that it kind of played off of each other in more of an agreement kind of way. I noticed that where you and I would have the most issues was when I was really trying to dig into you, and you would like really resist that. And I was the times that I thought I was being more loving, you thought I was being more like invasive. Like, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, get back up, you know? And I'd be like, okay, I can't really be like as warm and fuzzy as I want it to be with that. So, have you seen that in relationships that what you really, really want or love, Venus, it kind of it seems like you got to go through a lot to get what you want. Have you seen that in your patterns in relationships?
Uh, to get what I want.
Yeah, like
Um,
you do you find that what you really want, do you find that you kind of have to go through quite a bit in order to get what you really want? Okay, so do you see like, okay, I want this, but you get in it, does it seem like it's a little bit different than what you thought it was?
I want this. Uh, I won't want to say it's different. Uh, I didn't really. I feel like if I was like really looking for, I probably would go through obstacles. But at the time, I wasn't really like pressed to really um find that perfect relationship. Like I wasn't really looking, so I wasn't really pressed to try to go through the obstacles to
Yeah.
get the perfect relationship.
Okay. So here you are from the guy's perspective, which is what I wanted. Okay, so we talk about this a lot among the girls. Guys kind of fall into stuff. Girls are kind of like, looking right in a way for things until we get a little older. Your rising sign is in Aquarius, I mean, in Capricorn. And you have tension here in the 10th house of career and public status. Um, and I remember, or know even now, as most males, your focus has always been making money and having a career. That's where I've seen you. I hadn't really seen you like put as much into relationships as I've seen you trying to climb this ladder of success with this Capricorn rising here. So here we have this 10th house in Libra, and this is what I see in regards to you. Now, you see, your moon is here in this 10th house. Your lesson and your blessing are all there. Here, love is like all the way over here, like what you love, or relationship, or partnership. Here, you got a lot of influences in the 10th house. Basically, it just looks like what you basically were saying. So tell me about your journey. Has it been very significant in regards to your career and money? Because you got here moon in second house, you got to have money. That's resources. That's very important to you. Tell me about that.
What do you mean? Like my process in it now?
Your finances, making money, how important is that to you? Your career, all of that.
Oh yeah, it's real important to me. I feel like that's kind of like what I thrive off of. You know, and it's not even like just making money. It's just I just want to live life on my own terms. You
Got
know what I'm saying? You know me. My number one thing, I don't like answering people. Um, and and it's like me. I enjoy relationships and things like that. And sometimes when people say, "Oh, you want to be single so you can like go out and mingle and stuff like that," but it's really sometimes I just get tired of answering people. Like I just don't like answering people. But uh, I got older to where I finally like felt like I grew out of that. Because when you have when you have a family, had kids, you gotta answer your kids. You gotta answer to maybe your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, people you don't even want to talk to. So it was just a stage I had to grow out of. But my finances were definitely was like really important because I feel like if my finances isn't straight, it's hard for me to actually be on the course of love and a strong relationship.
I got you. So when Evan was 11, I remember asking him, I was like, do you have a girlfriend? He was like, no. And I said, why don't you have a girlfriend? He said, because I don't have a job. That was like his first answer. Okay. Here, he has moon in second house, and it's shooting straight over here to the 10th house. His rising sign is influences straight over here to the 10th house, where he wants this public success, influence. But this is what I see for you, Evan. It's in Libra, partners. You do a lot of things by yourself. Your lesson is you're going to have partners. You have mentors and you have people, but what I see here is that Neptune, remember how Neptune played out in Sharon's chart. Neptune is where we kind of deceive ourselves. You're going to have, you just said, I don't really like answering to people. And I know exactly the capacity in which you mean that. When you're talking about the moon being in Aquarius, very independent. But here, with everything that you want being attached to this 10th house, Libra, your success is going to be coming through getting the right partner. Your partner, your love partner, your business partners, anybody you partner with is going to have to be able to facilitate or accentuate this 10th house of success that you're very attached to it, like you're very drawn to it. You have all kinds of influences going over there. Your moon is going over there. You got second house, 10th house, first house, 10th house. All of that is there, and it's all in Libra. So being able to make peace with partnership, coming outside of yourself, and being able to literally do this back and forth partner wise is going to be the key to your success. It's going to be the key to your success. Now, your moon is all the way over here in opposition to Venus, hello, which is the ruler, hello, of Libra. You're going to have to answer to this before you can actually get to this. This is where I see your greatest blockage, right? Once you come together here and you get this moon to make friends with this Venus, it's going to unlock all of this here. And then you'll be able to see clearer with this Neptune in it's kind of like in a tension mode with Jupiter and Mars. Now, Jupiter and Mars here is powerful. You got the planet of expansion and the planet of initiation in this 10th house, which is all about how people see you. And every time you show up somewhere, people always see you as this leader, and they want to do things for you. I've noticed that, which is here where you have your blessing as well as your lesson. Now, I notice once you get into something, you have a few things that you have to work out, right? The key to that is going to be able to know who you can trust in this area of success, this journey of success that you're on, right? Bringing your heart and your love, which I would deal with you on a personal level, what you love versus what you feel. this inner outer thing, pulling that together so that you can bring this power together so that they're not so far apart in order to bring all of this together for success. Since success is important to you above relationships, and that's very typical for men. Men don't feel like that they are fully able to love unless they know that they are able to bring something to the real men anyway. You got some men that don't care whether they have stuff or not. They basically gonna look at what you got and say, can I come over there and get some of what you got? You know, but I know Evan ever since and Evan, you don't even ask me for anything like ever, 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 ever. And so you may need to come out of that a little bit and do some exchange. Master that art of exchange because your Venus is in the eighth house. You're not going to be able to get to the things that you love, Venus, until you learn the art of exchange, eighth house. Give and take, give and take, give and take. That's what's going to help you become successful and embrace this Libra energy here. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or anything that they want to add? Is everybody clear on how I'm looking at everybody's chart and how you can look at your own chart? So here we have,
Yeah.
say that again.
I just say yes.
Okay, okay.
Is this recorded? Can I go back and look at it again?
Oh yes, it's recorded.
Okay.
Mhm. So here we have another chart here. This is my daughter's chart. Okay, now if you notice everybody's chart that we kind of looked at, and this is good to look at because people's charts that you find, like Bruce Lee's chart, everything's all kind of like together like this. And you see all this red in here. There are a lot of lessons in here. Now we have Aries, which we talked about Aries, and we have 3 planets here in the 7th house. Remember, Evan had a lot of stuff going on in Libra. Well, she has a lot of stuff going on in the 7th house in the home of Libra. This can, if you see all of this can make relationships a little difficult. Again, I go back, I'm looking at her moon. It's in the 4th house, very tied to mother, nurturing, relationships, but it's also in Capricorn, which again is the home of, or the energy of this 10th house here in this 4th house. This is about feeling successful inside. A moon that is in Capricorn is going to constantly feel like they're not good enough. And the reason why is because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is about discipline. It always is the buggy planet. It always makes us feel like there's something else we need to do. Saturn is another thing that I would look at in emotional mastery. Very important, the relationship between the moon and Saturn. So we have Saturn constantly like pecking at us, like you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. Saturn makes you feel like you're never there. But Saturn also gives you the most rewards once you master whatever Saturn is getting you to master. So here with Capricorn here, and the moon is there, it can make you very self-critical. And that self-critical thing can cause you to be a little bit defensive. Well, if you see, the ruler of Capricorn is in her seventh house of relationships, and her sun is in the seventh house of relationships. So, how you feel in relation to the other is a constant theme in this chart. And it's a lot of lessons in there. The way that I would break out of this and break through it is, you see, the moon has a great aspect here to Mars as well as the sun, which you have the ability to feel completely good about yourself, but you're going to have to give in to the discipline of Saturn. This is a life that requires lots and lots of discipline, trial and error, and learning and discipline. And once this chart learns that, they will become more powerful in a particular area than anyone. When you have a lot of things of energy packed here like this, there's a specialty that you have. Bruce Lee, most powerful people who have something that they're just known for. They usually have a cluster of planets and a lot of tension in a particular area. So Bruce Lee kind of has that. You'll see a lot of red in his chart. Like if you just look at his chart, you'll say, wow, he has a lot of challenges. Well, that's what makes everybody really, really strong. If I see a lot of blue and I don't see that much red, I'll say this person doesn't really have a lot pushing them. Well, this red pushes people. And if people don't take that have a lot of red here, if they don't take that as the lessons that they need to learn, but they look at it as life picking on them, then what could happen is that they could take the victim mentality and they'll give in to this, or they can take the Bruce Lee mentality and they can kick ass with it and become the master of the things that are in red. So I need.
Do I have blue or red in mine?
Okay, I didn't understand that. I didn't know what. Okay.
I said, did I have blue or red in mine?
Oh, you had a mixture, but it was a little more spread out. When it's this much all together and you see it's kind of equal, there are equal lessons and blessings in Taylor's chart. The very place that she gets her blessings are the very place that she gets her lessons. It's like nowhere for her to go. You know, she's going to be forced to deal with these areas. Like where she gets her questions is where she's going to be getting her answers. Like if I look at somebody's chart and I say, okay, Sharon, we're going to go over here and we're going to look at Neptune and Mercury, and we're going to break the dam here between your love and your emotions. Okay, we kind of had some playing room there. But when you see everything clustered up like this, it's like you gotta look, you gotta look the devil in the eye before you see God. That's what I see here. You gotta tackle the very things that you want are always the very things that she wants and has access to are coupled with some, you see how it's doing. Blue right here with red. Blue, right, red is right in the middle. You got great aspects here, but you got your lessons right in the middle of everything that you want. So there's the actual breakthrough is like right in the middle of everything. Like you can't go over here, and it's all together. So what Taylor would have to do is she would have to have great discipline in order to and use these as a part of the actual things that she doesn't want. She's going to always be faced with things that she doesn't really want. There's no escape in that. So that's what that is saying if I see that in the chart there. So does everybody see how that plays out?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is a way that you can look at your children's charts to see where their lessons and their blessings are. This makes it so much easier to see them as individuals and what their own separate fight is. This was about the only way that I could literally kind of let go and not be as controlling as I wanted to be, because I'm like, whoa, this is a total separate journey than my journey, completely separate. This is what allows you to be able to see them as individuals. So this is how we look at parenting, looking at that. I can't possibly get in my children's chart and like fight their battles for them, right? I can show them this is where your strengths are. This is where your strengths are. This is where your lessons are, and this is how you can break through them and what you can do. So, does anybody have any questions as we come upon the ending? This is all questions if you have any. Faith, Sharon, did you guys have any questions?
I don't have anything right now, but do you do in-depth birth charts readings?
Oh, yeah. I do. I do. Now, when you say in depth, like in depth in a put, because to me, in depth is there's something very specific that you want to happen. Or are you saying in depth, like just general?
Yeah, like general, well, from if I understand everything right, I'm going to go back and watch it again. It lines up with me in that because I always felt like there was like I always felt like there was a wall
Mm-hmm.
with me, and I felt like that all my life. Like I had all these desires. I knew I could do whatever I wanted to do, and I had periods of a lot of success, finances, everything good. And all of a sudden I would hit a wall, and as good as it was, it would get that bad. And it seems like it's been such a stretch, though I know the ability is right there to change it, but it feels like there's a wall. And you were saying about, what I want to see and being realistic, and you know what I mean? So it seems like there's a lot of stuff, but the reading, the birth chart makes a lot of sense for that. So I wanted to know, I don't know if I can get an more in-depth reading on how to turn those lessons into benefits.
Right, right. Okay, now let's look at that. When we talk about an in-depth reading, let's go back to your chart. Now, when you say you have periods of success, now I'm just going to just share this with you all before we actually go, so that if you decide that you do want an in-depth chart reading, you'll know everything that has to be looked at. We also have transits that I'm going to add to your chart. You have your own birth chart here that goes this way. It goes counterclockwise. If you see, the numbers appear to go counterclockwise. And then you have transits which go clockwise. Transits are what's going on right now. So you have what you're born with, but the grace is, and the secondary lessons that go on are what's happening now. Well, if you look here in the eighth house in your birth chart, you don't really have anything there. But wow, look at Jupiter coming around here now, right now to visit you. And you have Saturn visiting you. That's going to give you a whole nother level of what we're going to look at if we go in depth. What you had when you were born, what you have now. You got the planet,
Okay.
you got God, and you got the devil here, right? The devil is in the details. Saturn is all about details and discipline, right? And then you have Jupiter, which is about God and expanding constriction, all in the eighth house of Aquarius, learning how to give and take. This is a great time for you to take advantage of not really having a whole lot here, of partnering with the right people that can actually help you expand, actually help you look at details and things that you actually want to look at. Also, here we have Pluto. Oh wow. So you have, see, here we go again. You have Saturn here in the seventh house, Capricorn in seventh house. Pluto is coming on in here, kind of clear out conditioned realities that you've had in regards to partnerships. It's very difficult energy here. And the reason why I say difficult, it doesn't have to be. I mean, you definitely have a pretty good connection with the moon and Saturn here. Um, Difficult in meaning, remember when I said Saturn is kind of makes you always feel like you have work to do?
Mhm.
Well, it's in your house of partnerships. When we have Pluto coming through here, cleaning all of that up as well. So we would look at that and the work that's getting ready to, that's happening here, you know, but you also have some good stuff here to kind of help you with give and take and resources and things that you need to be um, looking at dealing with partnering with people in regards to what they have, what you have, and how you guys can help each other out.
Okay.
And then you have Venus coming through here with the sun coming through the 10th house of Aries here. You don't have a lot anything here either in your birth chart. Great time to start a business that you love with Venus here in the 10th house of success, right? And the sun here. So you have some help in some of these planets. There's some Uranus here in your networking and how you're gonna who you're gonna connect with. They're gonna help make major changes in your life. You know, so we would look at transits and what's happening with your transits. That's what goes into a very deep reading. Also, if we're going to look at things, we'll probably also want to look at your progressed house. Your progressed house is very important as well. It's actually what you're actually here doing right now. This is your progressed chart. This is for everybody. I would look at that. Your progressed chart is just as important because even though you're born Leo, really what you're dealing with are second house Libra energies here, right? And we would work with that as well. It's a lot that goes into it. And it's really, really illuminating and helping you kind of navigate the next however many years as well. So we would look at your challenges that you're dealing with like right now. So we got things that you deal with from birth. We have things that you deal with right now. And you can look at them on your own as well. You wouldn't probably be able to figure them out right away, but you can also put all of that together, your natal, your transits, and your progressions. And you can just look at all three of them. Boom, beautiful. It
Mm.
lets you know what you grow, your conditioning. It lets you know right now what's happening with the transits, and right now what's happening with this progressed energy, where you are. And that goes into a very deep chart reading, where some of your blockages are and what you can do and how they interact with your conditioning and all of that. Very, very good information.
Okay.
So yeah, we could definitely do that. Um, and we can talk about that. I was thinking about offering that as a metaphysical upgrade to the Shifting from Force to Power course that I already have. We know everybody's not really into astrology. They don't understand how beneficial it is. However, um, we could definitely add that in for you.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a meeting at 4 o'clock. Are there any other questions around this issue before we close out, or this topic? All right. Well, the recording to this will definitely be available.